Hi, and welcome to episode 6 of Game Talk. Since the Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailers released, I thought, why not make this episode about Assassin's Creed? So here's my list of the top 5 Assassin's Creed games. The Assassin's Creed franchise is now a very well-known series in gaming, spanning many games set in various historic moments. When it started with the first one, I remember being amazed at how beautiful it looked and how cool Altair was and how being an assassin felt badass. Now, fast forward many games in, well, 9 if you count the major installments, you'll find Assassin's Creed Syndicate. The continuation of the Assassins vs Templars story, but this time set in Victorian era London. In this game, we play as twins Jacob and Evie Fry, and we follow their journey in freeing London from the Templar influence and finding the pieces of Eden to stop Starrick and the Templar force from getting their hands on a powerful mystical artifact.
Desmond?
This game came as a bit of a surprise, as I fully expected it to be on the level of Assassin's Creed Unity, which in my opinion was not a good game. At the time, I felt the Assassin's Creed franchise had started dipping. The characters began to get stale, the story started to feel as if they had no direction, and the changes in gameplay sometimes felt like they hindered the experience at times. But Syndicate proved to be just what the franchise needed. It was light-hearted, the characters were good fun, the gameplay was solid, even meeting historic figures again was great. You even meet Queen Victoria in the game. Even though the game is filled with great moments like this one, it did have its problems. Sometimes the game froze randomly, cutscenes had invisible characters, there were some glitches in gameplay as well. But overall, this game was a solid installment in the Assassin's Creed series.
Hearts must wear a mask.
Mr. Starrick!
I told you not to disturb me!
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was the follow-up to Assassin's Creed 2, so you can imagine the amount of pressure this game had coming after the huge success of its predecessor. And it managed to mostly live up to the expectations everyone had. We continued Ezio's journey and picked up right where Assassin's Creed 2 left us. This time though, we were taking on Cesare Borgia, son of the antagonist Rodrigo Borgia from Assassin's Creed 2. At the start, we see the assassins enjoy their victory over the Templars and start to relax and celebrate, only to find it short-lived.
It is not any trouble. I have all the time in the world now.
Eventually, we see Ezio plunged into another adventure to stop the Templars, and we experience some new things in gameplay along the way. The game made some changes I really enjoyed, like having your own assassin army, great new additions like a crossbow and a parachute. But it did have some problems. The setting Rome wasn't as good as the cities we visited in Assassin's Creed 2. Also, some of the new gameplay features weren't that great, and some of the rebuilding the city options felt useless at times. Nevertheless, the game was still good and helped build on Ezio's character even more, and seeing historical monuments like the Colosseum was very cool. Even the parts where you play as Desmond was surprisingly entertaining this time. The story for me was the best part of the game, and having some more backstory in Ezio's personal life really made me feel for the character. Also, that twist at the end was shocking and built up a lot of suspense for the next game. This game overall was great, and yes, I did give some negative points, but it was a blast to play in spite all of that. It managed to keep what was good in Assassin's Creed 2 and build on it, which was great at the time, as we all just wanted the next game as soon as possible.
Where other men blindly follow the truth, remember,
Nothing is true.
where other men are limited by morality and law, remember,
Everything is
is
permitted.
permitted.
The game that bolstered the franchise into mega popularity, the most important one in the series and probably the most beloved, Assassin's Creed 2 took what was built in the first one and improved on everything. It removed the repetitive gameplay in the missions. It gave a variety of vibrant settings to play in that felt alive, along with probably the best story in the franchise. Assassin's Creed 2 was a huge leap forward for the series. The gameplay was improved upon significantly. Combat was more fun, being able to disarm opponents and fight with your hands was a huge change at the time. Climbing up historic monuments was cool, and getting a bird's eye view of the different cities looked spectacular. And those double hidden blades was a huge and welcome surprise at the time. The story covered Ezio's journey of how he becomes a master assassin, and what initially starts off as a story for vengeance evolves into something more, in which Ezio finds himself and his family involved.
I'll kill you for what you've done!
Now yes, this game wasn't perfect, but at the time it was close. It had the problems all the older Assassin's Creed games had, like accidentally jumping in the wrong direction when you meant to jump somewhere else, the combat being too easy, and the tailing missions were annoying. But I managed to look past all of this because I enjoyed playing through Ezio's story. I liked the missions, specifically the Carnival and flying machine ones, and the characters.
It's a me, Mario!
Also, the game still manages to stand the test of time pretty well, and in my opinion, it's still better than some of the newer ones.
It is a good life we lead, brother.
The best. May it never change.
And may it never change us.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a spectacular game, and it, along with Assassin's Creed Origins, really changed the franchise. The game offered the players options to choose the gender of their character, dialogue options, which both are a first in the series by the way, and also much more customization of the character weapons and armor. Previous Assassin's Creed games used to be more linear, in the sense that to unlock new areas in the game, you had to continue the story, whereas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a lot of the areas to visit are available to explore nearly immediately. The whole format of the game changed. It had more role-playing game elements than the games that preceded it, by offering more branching paths to choose for the player, an ability system, and a plethora of side quests. The combat gameplay was completely reworked from the ground up from Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and changed for the better. It became more challenging and made you think about how to approach every enemy depending on their level. It basically retained the great combat from Assassin's Creed Origins with some minor improvements, like the Spartan kick, which feels so badass. The story also felt much more personal than the ones before. Less focus was given to the usual Assassins vs Templars war, and more attention was given to this family drama which your character finds themselves in, and this was honestly refreshing. Although I do sometimes miss the linearity of the earlier Assassin's Creed games, Odyssey did stand out for me. I put many hours in playing the game and I always think of returning back to it, because it was so much fun being in ancient Greece. And there's just so much to do in it. This game is definitely one of the best in the series. Pirate Assassins. What more do you need to hear about this game to be sold on it? Assassin's Creed Black Flag, in my opinion, is the best game in the whole franchise. We follow the journey of Edward Kenway, a pirate from the 18th century in the Caribbean, who is, as you would expect, a selfish, gold-hungry pirate. And it was such a great and different direction from what we saw from games before. Seeing Edward evolve basically from a negative character to a positive one was great. It showed us the growth of his character throughout his whole journey. The game, like all the others on this list, was beautiful. Sailing the seas in your own pirate ship, seeing whales jump out of the water, and engaging in ship battles all looked stunning. The gameplay was mostly the same as Assassin's Creed 3, but was built upon much more. For example, The emphasis on naval combat was huge, as you would expect, being a pirate and all, and it was a whole lot of fun. Robbing ships, battling legendary warships, and recruiting crew members never gets old. The game and the naval combat was so well received by people that Ubisoft eventually decided to make a separate game focused on pirates called Skull and Bones, which still has to be released. But I digress. The story of Black Flag isn't as strong as the previous entries or even some of the newer ones in the series, but seeing historic pirates like Blackbeard was pretty cool. Also, this is one of the rare instances where the story didn't need to be amazing for me to love the game. It was just being in the world that was so much fun. I wanted to upgrade my ship, I wanted to explore all the islands, which the game rewards you for by the way, and I wanted to collect all the sea shanties to hear my crew sing songs as we sail through the seas. The game had so much to do that even after finishing the main story, I came back to play all the side missions and other activities like whale hunting. This is a game I couldn't get enough of, and this is why it's number 1 on my list. Thanks for watching this episode. What are your favorite Assassin's Creed games? Let me know in the comments below. Until my next video, stay safe and wash those hands.
Yar, matey! Very exciting. Welcome aboard.